Hi, it's Joy and today I'm going to be watching The Boys Season 1 Episode 6, The Innocents, which is stressful. No innocents should be in this show because they will get killed. But I am loving this show. And last episode we had the huge revelation that the superheroes are indeed all manufactured, or at the very least that Vought has been putting Compound V into babies. I don't know when this started, but if there was somehow were there a few original naturally evolved superheroes that they then got Compound V from? That seems unlikely, but maybe, or they just made it in a lab. But that is a huge revelation for the boys. Also, Annie Starlight is reaching breaking point with Vought, and she's kind of been quite public about that. I'm sure there's going to be some repercussions for her speech, many more than there will be for Homelander for his speech. But I'm just really excited to see where the show keeps going. And of course the ending with Frenchie and the poor woman who I hope becomes, well, we get to save, I don't know. We could do with an amazing superhero on the team, let's face it. Not all supes are bad. But she's okay, she's able to heal, which is good. I imagine with all healing powers there'll be a point where she wouldn't be able to heal, but she seems like a good character and I'm fingers crossed. So yeah, I am in love with this show. As always, a reminder that if you would like to watch the unedited version of this reaction, you can find it up on my Patreon, along with every single show I react is on my edited reaction, and you can get them 2 weeks early. So the episodes air 2 weeks early on Patreon before they come to YouTube. And again, I know I say this every time, but I'd like to remind people, this might be the first reaction someone's catching, or you might be interested, I don't know. You can see the edited version 1 week early up on YouTube. So right now, the unedited version of the whole of season 1 are up on YouTube, up on Patreon, sorry. And the YouTube edited version is already up for episode 7 as well. I'm sorry I always say that, I'm sure you can just skip through. But yes, let us go to the boys. Propaganda. Blech. Oh mate, escape from this critical place. Is he actually of some kind of an Asian origin?
I need them to look like someone you'd want in the army.
Yes, exactly.
We here are not fucking Heidi and Spencer. We
don't care about making them likable or being good.
2 weeks after Starlight's shocking appearance at the Believe Expo.
Is she
Social media
has she left?
is still buzzing about her controversial speech.
What I want to know? Who's that dude that stuck his in her face? That in the hole.
Agreed. Okay. I don't entirely know what she said. I don't want to think too much about what she said.
Everything that I said, that's what they focus on.
Hey.
I think part of the reason that that's the one thing they stuck on that she said is just because in the real world, as well as in this world, sexual assault and victims speaking out is so rare, and it's going to be so empowering to so many people, and at the same time you get those people that'll look #not all men. Oh, are you sure? Believe women and men, if you say that.
Oh my god. Oh, hi.
They're going to be like,
Anthony.
oh, he's moved on fast.
Huey's.
No.
She was bigger than all the guys.
Oh,
like
I mean,
Andre
oh,
the
I
Giant.
love this, but
So when Gretchen
there's so much
said she
fakeness
wants to
behind it, and I hate
beat
that.
the living. I've been worried, asshole. Ever since
He has
Robin,
just dropped out of his life.
You weren't answering your phone?
He's on a secret mission to take on superheroes
Drano.
while also falling in love with a superhero.
I'm sorry, man.
Built this place with his bare hands. He was an amazing man.
Maybe.
The old piano.
If
Every night,
he
Mom would
was,
sit
is this
here
even
and
real?
she'd
Is this
play
like a
some
set?
songs and
Right?
who put the fucking blanket on the bed?
Ooh.
Randy Setdeck.
Who's Randy Septek?
What just happened?
Yeah, what did just happen? I mean, he's fake, that's what just happened. If this really is his child at home, it kind of looks like he never went back after he was a little boy, which is kind of sad. Is it just completely a set? Did something bad happen to his parents, and then he got taken in by Vought, and they warped him into this monster? I mean, he's a monster, regardless of how it happened, but yes.
They're all just kids dosed with the blue shit. I mean, even fucking Starlight.
In the same way, though, it doesn't truly matter how she got it. It's what she does with it.
What really happened to him?
God, what's this? Okay, he just wants to look. You've drawn a lot of them.
Not if you attached to that hand, though. And she was injected in the basement of the hospital.
Are they giving it to adults now,
And there is
too?
a small matter of it.
Keep on Starlight then, right?
Her phone's been tits up for a week. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
No?
And then when she's active, she stabs you in the back. Gets you kicked out of the house.
This isn't what happened. Starlight was just being true to herself.
It was my big idea to book you for the Believe Expo.
Take this in the constructive spirit that it is intended.
Oh God. Is Homelander going to get the same speech?
You are a selfish, arrogant child. You cut the petulant diva shit, show a little fucking gratitude, and let us do our job.
This a culture where women feel safe and aren't sexually assaulted.
No.
Yes, girl.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to be ungrateful, but
you stand
no
up for
red
yourself.
Carpets, no reality TV, and no Noxema commercials. And I want my old uniform back.
You stand up for yourself.
I'm gonna save people. I think that firing an employee after she reported sexual assault on live TV might take
yes, she's playing them at their own game.
I just don't know to whom you're referring. Oh, I think you know.
Yeah. You
I think you've
even
known for a long
sent
time.
him on the tour with her. Did you think that would help beat her down into
Thank you
submission
so
into being
much for
someone you
coming,
could
Starlight.
control? Bitch.
I have a lot to think about.
Bastard, all those things are you. I love that she's standing up for herself.
Say a little something in her honor.
Yeah. Murderer. Double murderer, at least.
I haven't seen her in years.
Oof. Yes, I really want these two to connect, please.
I'm just trying to be honest.
And you would be so much happier if you followed her example, Maeve.
I wanted to live my life exactly like yours. Because you didn't just break all the bones in your right arm stopping that school bus from falling off of a bridge, but you also
She's
went
the
to
real
every
deal,
kid's
I'm so
physical
good,
therapy
Maeve.
afterwards. You really stood for something. Now, pretty sure that was just written by the marketing guys.
If it wasn't, which I don't think it was, Maeve needs to fight to get herself back. No, she's happy with watching sharks.
You talk to me? She talked to me.
That's talking?
She communicated.
Yeah, she communicated. That's a big deal.
I'll call BuzzFeed.
Let's go. We now. Boom, bing.
Boom, bing.
It's never that
I'll tell
easy.
you what I can.
Harder than others, obviously.
Oh, is this a support group for people who've been hurt by soups?
I just wish he'd been a little more gentle with my spine.
It's about acceptance, isn't it? Letting go.
Starlight would be as careful as she could. Well, he even works there.
What kind of knobber falls for a soup?
Anyway, we were, you know,
Because they
being
are
intimate
people and there
when
are good ones.
She climaxed and
The smirk, the jokes. It's all a defense mechanism. But you don't have to do that here. This is a safe space.
It is, and I think I'd like to know your story.
Sitting here in your little share circle.
There would be some instances
And
where a
the little whinge
superhero
and
would
moan.
genuinely be doing their
Fuck letting
best
go.
to save
He
someone,
should be out there
and
with
it would
a fucking
cause a
chainsaw
life-changing
going after
injury,
him.
but they'd still have a life. But then what we've seen is that there are very clearly lots of instances where the
fucking
supes just don't care enough about the people they're saving
Supes are all the same.
to be
Fucking
careful.
one of them.
And it's not true that supes are all the same, because people aren't all the same. There are serial killers. We aren't all serial killers.
I'm gonna need you to make a public apology. And you're going to be taking a sabbatical from the Seven.
What?
We are going to be
Kill him.
stationing you in Sandusky.
Wouldn't let-
This is not about the dead dolphin. This
No,
is
you
about Starlight.
sexual predator,
Starlight? What are you doing?
rapist,
Starlight?
you piece of shit,
Everybody
you should
seems to want to know
die.
who she was referencing in that speech. Or let's be honest, some of the other women speak up. So
Yes.
we
Oh
need
my
to get
god.
ahead of it.
Okay, there may have been a misunderstanding.
Sorry. This woman. Not only did she know or strongly suspect that something might have happened between him and Starlight, she knows he's a serial rapist. And for the image of the company she's covering up, this doesn't surprise me, because this company is despicably despicable, but just... Fuck you. I hope you die.
I'm in full support of women and their ongoing bravery in speaking out. I'm stronger.
Is he trying to say it was just like a little slip?
I realize that my behavior
Oh,
caused
this is so
Starlight a great deal of pain.
disgusting.
And I sincerely apologize for this.
Oh, believed
Though at the
encounter
time,
was
I believed that our
consensual.
encounter
Yeah,
was
of
consensual.
course.
I now
Of
realize
course,
that,
all men believe their
I misread
rape's
the moment.
consensual.
How do you know about Cleo?
Oh.
There are no secrets from me. Well, I work for child services.
She doesn't want to touch you because then you're going to know what she's thinking. And it's dangerous for a father to know everything his daughter's thinking.
I just want to know you don't hate me.
Oh, well, that's brutal.
Don't really know you.
Yeah. Almost worse.
Homelander right there.
Oh my goodness. That was... I thought he killed her.
Jesus.
Just killed her, which... They're all disgusting. Was she going to report on him or something? Like,
She just got up and walked
tell
away.
a story? And then they got rid of her before she could, because they cleaned up those messes.
We're in this together.
Yeah. But
We're
Huey doesn't
Becca.
see. I mean, Starlight isn't like that. If anything, if he doesn't think she's been a
That is
victim
why
of a superhero
you
just the
can't
same.
allow yourself.
I wanted to know that story, but it was worse than I was imagining. And I now actually do hate him. I thought, like, killing a plane full of people was the lowest he could reach. I was wrong. He needs to die. Can that just come back at such a forced murder?
That is gonna. It meant to you.
Did Vault grow him in the lab?
How would that make you feel?
Or steal him from his family?
And to show how down to earth and ready to serve you are.
Starlight steps out.
I need you to tell the mother story.
Oh, she's so creepy. Oh, this is so creepy. She's like a sexual mother figure and I hate it. Stop. Please stop.
Please do it for me.
Damn, relax. Everyone relax. Just go walk it off. Walk it off.
Walk it off. Oh, Maeve. Listen to Starlight, sweetheart. Find yourself again.
But not
people you're being
keep your
eavesdropped
voice.
on.
Just tell me what's going on.
Because it's going to get her in danger.
Just afraid.
No. Maeve, sweetheart, listen to these two strong women that are showing you that helping you to see that what you already know, which is that you've gone astray and your life is no longer what you think it will be.
Courtney?
Yep.
Nice decor.
He needs to kind of move
80s
past
serial
his
killer.
like.
Love
yeah.
it.
All
Right
suits
then.
are evil.
She's a soldier.
You're dating a terrorist.
Is this true?
Oh. So he did grow up in Vault Labs. This sweet baby. How did that sweet baby become this monster who needs to die?
Wait, why would Vought give Compound V to terrorists?
Because the only thing more dangerous than a terrorist is a soup terrorist. And the only way to fight it
is with Sergeant fucking Homelander.
Yeah, that was what the plan
The
was.
cunts in the army now.
That does
Those
make the plan
fuckers
make
are creating
sense.
supervillains.
Oh, she's gonna show him. Oh, they are.
That's where she grew up. They killed her parents.
Kimiko.
Kimiko, is that her name?
She just wants to go back and get her brother out of there.
She's not evil.
All right, take it back to the safe house.
She was a victim of an army.
Where you headed?
It wasn't on Poor Boys, these dicks. Yes, people!
Keep speaking your truth.
I really need someone to murder this man and blow him up.
Let's just say with these cunts, there ain't no rock bottom.
There really isn't. Every time I think we've reached it, they just go
Let's
lower.
go to the lab. How in character?
Is it searching
Equipment
for his
salary,
wife?
same for your team, office space, in the Flatiron building, no less. Security clearance, indemnity clause, legal protection.
Yeah.
A formal guarantee that Homelander will be prosecuted under the full extent of the law.
How much of that can she do?
I can give you everything you want on this list.
Apart from Homelander, for certain.
Except Homelander.
She can't guarantee that. Especially with the way America's... I mean, the UK system's not great, but with the way
You
we've seen
know
with
what
Trump,
he's
the
done.
American system's not good. Oh my god, you could get your team so much protection.
Butcher!
But no one could guarantee Homelander being arrested and, you know, A, you couldn't, like, just catch him very easily, but B, no one can guarantee anyone's gonna get found guilty at a trial.
Phoenix rose from the ashes with a message so loud, so raw,
Using
it
her
couldn't
story
come
for their own
forth as
corporate
anything less than a
gains.
roar.
The house always wins.
That's why she's the way she is. But team up, or at least be a support mechanism for each other rather than rivalry.
I'm sorry.
That was a really important moment between them. You know, she can kind of see maybe what happened to Maeve and why Maeve isn't the way she thought she would be. This episode's been so good. So many revelations and moments and...
Yeah, no, then we go to the airport right now.
Don't know if you have a passport and how we'd get you on a plane out of here, but that's really important to give her the choice. So she can have agency in her life. And, oh. Just the simplicity of these connections and these moments are everything.
You watched that episode.
No dice.
What?
Said she got cold feet.
No, it's because he
Why?
couldn't.
Did you tell her everything?
He's so
they
putting the
all
whole
out.
team in
Even
jeopardy.
a sample of V.
Is he climbing to the top of the
You
stairwell
don't have
to jump?
to call me. You probably don't remember, but
He's trying to get back into Vought. He cares more about Vought than his daughter. Because he could forge a relationship with her.
Let's be clear. You said you were looking for a
Fuck.
French guy and a black guy, a skinny white guy, British
No,
guy.
he's got pictures of them.
I just want to be one of the good guys again.
You really think they're the good guys? Does he remember him? Why would you trust Homelander?
That's my phone.
So, I had powers from the start. Why?
No, I'm just,
He
curious.
knows so much more about her than she does in that sense.
For me, New York has been such an endless
She
shit
would
show.
want you to be happy, sweetheart.
Except for you.
They have got a real connection, but she needs to be,
Somehow,
he needs to be
in the
honest with
middle of
her
it
as
all.
well. And he's lying to her. Oh. Is this real on his behalf, or is he still trying to use her? Because I love them, and I really want them to build something beautiful that would be so healing and wonderful for both of them. And she's gone. He's free of her sort of traumatic ghost. But you need to tell her the truth, please. Like, please.
Huey,
Oh God.
I thought that was you.
Oh fuck.
You know, if I'm
God,
perfectly
what's he gonna
honest,
say?
translucent's always been my favourite. You got your tongue halfway down the opposition's front.
She's not the
No,
opposite.
she's a good, wonderful person. I've been watching the news.
She's a good person.
She is.
Okay, I mean, she could help us.
Help us.
She could. In my dreams.
And what do you think she's gonna do when she finds out you murdered Translucent?
When she finds out.
Oh God, when? Yeah, so this was an absolutely fantastic episode. It furthered the plot in so many ways. And I feel like I'm going to miss them because just so much happens in every episode. So I'll start with the worst, which is Homelander's existence. So we learned that not only is he totally cool with downing a plane, but that he is a rapist. And I imagine, you know, he's not just raped one woman, has he? And it's just like the way this culture is around superheroes. There would be no shortage of women very willing to sleep with him, so the fact that he would want to rape someone is just about power, and it's gross. It's exactly the same reasoning as the deep, disgusting little pathetic men. Now, like, yeah, sure, a small part of me, I feel sympathy for the child he was, for that little boy that maybe was like stolen from his family or grown in a lab or whatever it was that happened with him, whether he was the original person that they got the compound V from, or I doubt that. I feel like he was, if anything, patient zero, the first, you know, their first test. That little boy, that sweet little angel child playing peekaboo with the scientists while he's locked in a test room, you know, that is a kid I would feel so much sympathy for. And you know, I've read a lot of YA books or whatever where that kid grows up a little bit and then escapes the mean awful people, but Homelander lost his soul in that. I imagine in that environment he is no longer a person that has anything salvageable in him. The glimmer he had when he saw that blanket, it reminded him of his vulnerability, of what he went through. I would like it if he turned against Vought ultimately, because they just keep using him and abusing him, but at the same time, that is all he knows, that's all he's ever known, and he is awful. So even if he were to turn against Vought, which I would be like, yeah, I'd also need him to die or go to prison. Like, he's a despicable person, but it was so fascinating to kind of get that confirmation about him, and that kind of might explain the weird sexual motherly relationship he has with Stillwell, and the fact that he's so jealous and despises her baby because that baby has a mother that loves him. So I'm really just, that was a brilliant story to get. Both finally knowing the story of what happened to Billy's wife. I mean, okay, yeah, she went missing, so like we don't know what happened to her, but we know like what he knows about it. on what Homelander's involvement was, and I genuinely thought it was going to be that he'd killed her, that, you know, by accident, or like similar to what happened to Robin. But no, he's just he's also a rapist, because of course he is. I don't know why I didn't already expect everything, every way you could be the worst of him, but there we go. But yeah, finding out about his childhood, if there was a time machine and we could save that little baby, I would be here for it, but the man he is now needs to just go. So then the Deep getting punished for this, but again, just, I know that it's exactly what corporations and society does in the real world. It protects men. You know, if on a college campus in America a girl reports a rape of a star athlete raped her, the college is going to try and protect the star athlete and put her down, make her look wrong. No, like that is just an epidemic around the world. Men get believed over women. But the fact that Starlight was able to stand her ground in it pushed Vought to the point where they needed to do damage control. So they put out the story of it being that he really thought it was consensual, and he's so sorry, and he's so proud of her for, like, just any rapist. I would love to say those words. Oh, especially when he's acknowledging the rape. Just disgusting. I'm so glad that woman threw something at him. I need him to become the most despised superhero of all time, because he's, well, originally he was the worst because he was a rapist, but he's now the second worst because not only is Homelander a despicable glob of existence who murders people willy-nilly and doesn't care, he's also a rapist. So yeah, the Deep is no longer the worst character on the show, he's just the second worst. Yay for him. I really hope he's at the very least miserable and bored where he's going, but I'm hoping there's going to be like a build-up of anger against him and he's going to get murdered by a woman or something, because that's what I really would like to see happen. But that, he's just pathetic. And you know, with him you can really see that he feels the need to exert his power over women by raping them, to feel strong and powerful, because he's so pathetic in every way. He just happens to have either physical strength, superpowers, or a position of influence over someone that he uses to his advantage to make himself feel good, because he's such a nothing. So I need him to die soon. But I also wouldn't mind if he just wasn't around anymore, but he's one of the main characters, but I'd like to see him die, please. Also, we had a tiny glimpse of, when they were showing those reality things of like their lives, of Black Noir sitting in like, I believe it's Japanese culture, it might just be across Asia. I am not as knowledgeable about Asian culture as I actually would like to be, but he seemed like he was doing quite a traditional, like, in a traditional Asian home, so that would suggest that Black Noir was Asian. I may be reading too much into this, but literally we know nothing about him. I need to know something about him. I don't currently hate him, but I also don't like him because he did just happily go with A Train to hunt down Kimiko, whose name we know now, and Frenchie. But yeah, I need to know more about him. And then I'll kind of touch on Starlight, so I will continue talking about her. I love to see the way that she is standing up for herself, and like, okay, at the end of the episode she felt defeated, but that she is being assertive and, you know, okay, yeah, she hasn't made the change she might have wanted to make. She hasn't been able to make the stand she might have wanted to make because they're using her trauma, her rape, for their own propaganda purposes. But in a way, given that if she's choosing to stay within Vought to try and fight for her corner and to try and fight to make it what she wants it to be, she does have that small position of power. She was able to do things like keeping her suit and not filming anything new. So okay, yeah, they already had a lot of stuff with her, but she didn't have to do that kind of fake, like, oh, well, I was just a young girl growing up in Ohio. I don't know what that voice was, I'm very sorry. You know, they just used that, and it seems like, okay, yeah, they're going to make a video of a movie of her. They probably were always going to do that, and it seems to be what the Seven do. But she definitely has shown that she isn't just going to let them push her around, and maybe if this wasn't happening at the same time as like the boys were trying to take them down or all the rest of the stuff was happening, she might one day have ended up kind of like Maeve, just sucked into this corporate monster, unable to be herself, unable to fight for what she believes in, and just kind of giving in and just hating her life. Like, I don't blame Maeve in any way, shape or form. I think she was very much alone. It doesn't seem like anyone else on the team was having similar problems and similar qualms. It was probably partly because she was a woman, and the men in this show seem to think that like they can just do whatever the heck they want. But I really enjoyed seeing the way she could have been beaten down, you know, being taken to task that way and being told, like, just the way Stillwell acted with her, even though she knew she'd been raped and knew already that it happened and done nothing about it, hadn't even tried to manipulate her to her cause by going to her and being like, I'm so sorry that happened to you, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love that she stood up for it. And then the fact that she kind of, she's made the choice that she's not totally happy here, but that she's gonna be she's gonna do try as hard as she can to be Starlight in the way she wants to be. And yeah, being Starlight within Vought, it's never going to be exactly the way she wants to be, but I love that she's trying to speak her truth. And so what she said to Maeve about idolising her for how good and she was, that she saved that school bus and then she visited the kids to kind of support them, and we've seen that Maeve has a good, like, Maeve is good. Maeve is a good person, and that she used to have a connection with, I don't know if her name's Elena or Lena, Maris Lowood, it's an actress in so many things, that she had a real connection with someone, which suggests that probably, like, she does seem that it's the sort of story that I believe would be true. But like I keep saying in all these reactions, she's just been beaten down by Vought and by the inescapable nature of this society, and maybe as a younger impressionable woman, she chose to, oh, I'm going to get to become a great superhero, I'm going to get to save people, I'm going to get kind of the power of it, would be feel nice, and the adoration, like, a lot of that could go to so many people's heads. That is so natural for that to happen. But she'd get to be able to save people and be a superhero, and sacrificing this love would be worth it. And now, years on, it's not worth it, and it's just destroyed her. But I really hope that that little conversation, that in a way from Starlight, that was a bit of a kick, you know, like a wake-up call, that who you used to be, the inspiration you used to give, and still do give, and who you really are, and that girl you wanted to be is still in you, if I'm making sense. And then the whole scene where her girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, Lena, they still have, like, you can still see how much they care about each other, and she is very lost right now, and it's kind of like Elena said, Lena, that she doesn't know how to ask for help. She never will do, and she will push people away rather than get that help. And she's definitely in a position where it's going to be bloody hard for her to change things, but she's one of the most powerful of the seven because she's been around for so long and she's so public, and she's, you know, with Starlight, they could probably be like, oh, she turned out to not be as powerful as we thought, or oh, silly us, she missed mummy too much and went home. You know, they could probably come up with an easier way to get Starlight in and out, whereas with Maeve, she's such a key part of it, and especially with them not knowing that Translucent is dead and having not publicised that, you know, that's quite tricky to do. The fact that he's invisible does make promo shots a lot easier, but I think it's really important that she's got these two strong women speaking truthfully to her and honestly with her and holding her to account, you know, not just saying, oh, you know, life's been tough for you, go have a drink, but looking at her and being like, this isn't you, this isn't, like, I really appreciated that. And the fact that, you know, when she saw Annie at the end and she was like, oh, you know, the company always wins, but the fact that she said, I'm sorry, that was genuine. That was a moment of, I feel your pain, like, I know what you're going through, I have been in your shoes, I'm sorry. And I think also that moment was so important because it was a lowering of the guard for Maeve. It was her kind of letting herself feel, letting herself sympathise with someone and have emotions with someone, connecting with someone. And at the same time for Annie, I think it was, she kind of was a little bit superior with her in the lift at the beginning when she was saying about how she used to care, like, idolise her and all that stuff, because she's kind of like, oh, you're just, it was all just a lie, like they want me to lie, or you're nothing. Whereas I think that the depth of emotion in that I'm sorry was really a wake up call to Annie, that maybe Maeve was that person, maybe Maeve used to be just like she is now, and it was beaten out of her by Vought. And I really, really need that to be the start of the connection between those two, because they should be so good for each other, and then the women could just take over Vought. And I know that Stillwell is a woman in charge, but she's a gross woman, so she can just go away, and they can be the best. But yeah, so for Annie, while ultimately it kind of felt like a defeat at the end, I think she had such victories that even if it's a tiny victory, like even if it's one step forward rather than three, that is still one step forward, and she needs to be so proud of herself. And just in general, speaking up about a sexual assault in that way, if a superhero is able to speak up about it and experience it and be empowered by it, I mean, I know that they're spinning it for their own gain, that would help so many real life sexual assault survivors. And Annie is really falling for Huey, and it's so like, in another universe they would just have the smoothest path to a happy relationship. But obviously he is not just the sweet boy she thinks he is part of this whole conspiracy. And I would like to think, like in my dreams, this show, maybe it'll be in season 2 or season 3, I don't know, that she will join them against Vought. Maybe that they'll have to find a meeting point, because obviously at the moment Billy is very much like all supes are bad, and she would never agree with that. But they can all agree that Vought is bad. So I can see her kind of joining to stop Vought, to change Vought, or to, you know, get rid of Vought and make it so that superheroes aren't like that corporate way. But I also think she's going to very much struggle with the concept of Huey lied to me, he's been manipulating me, he put a bug on my phone, he murdered Translucent, and then everyone keeps asking me about Translucent. Like, I think there's a lot of things there that are gonna take a long time for her to get over, if she ever can, in terms of their relationship. So while I'm not entirely sure that that's a long-term thing that can last, I think maybe that initially finding out about him might push her back to Vought a little bit. Hopefully ultimately she would still choose to work with them. And then Huey. It was really important, I think, I'll talk about Huey and Billy kind of together at this point. The way that they kind of... Billy was honest with him. I mean, first, okay, taking him to that support group, which is the sort of place Huey should have gone to in the first place. Yeah, it was a bit hard to hear the way that they were like, oh, you know, it would have been nice if he'd been a bit more careful with my spine, but I know I should be grateful. Like, it is so hard, because in reality, if a superhero... even a superhero trying their very, 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 very best to save the day and save everybody is going to fail sometimes. You can't always save everyone. And maybe you can save someone, but you cause them to have a life-changing injury, but they're alive. There will be superheroes who try their very best, and it doesn't have a perfect outcome. I think there's even been, like, some of the anti-alien stuff in Supergirl was by people that, like, had lost someone during a thing when she was supposed to save them, because like she'd saved most people but not everyone, kind of like it's just impossible. Even in the real world with, you know, police and rescue and fire, they can't always save everyone, but they will try their very best. Now we have definitely seen that the superheroes in this show, the culture of Vought in particular, it kind of just inspires them to just want the fame and the celebrity and the easiness of it all. And you can definitely see people like A-Train and The Deep and Homelander not really trying to be careful when they're saving people. And from the stories they told, it definitely seems like these were people that placed themselves above the people they were saving or sleeping with, and that they were better than them and that it didn't matter. So I think while there could potentially be some people in that group who had had a superhero that had genuinely tried to save them and just failed, there would be others that weren't. So it's not as simple as Billy makes it out to be, that all supes are bad and you're idiots for trusting in them, because, yeah, I don't believe we should ever wholeheartedly be like, I will sit here and the superheroes can save the day. We all need to do our own part. But superheroes aren't all bad, in the same way that all people aren't bad. And it's the same way that when anyone ever tries to claim a religion or a race or an ethnicity or whatever, like, oh, they're all terrible. It's like, well, of course not. How many awful white people are there? There are so many awful white people, and no one turns around and says, all white people are bad. You know, throughout history in particular, like, there's no way you could tarnish an entire group of people with the same brush. There will always be good people and there will always be bad people. And yeah, the culture Vought has created has meant that there are a lot more bad supes, or supes that are giving into the easy nature of just being not really caring and caring about themselves. And they've built this culture that makes the supes more likely to be bad, or potentially, like, you know, beats down the good ones into a place where they just emotionally cannot care, which is kind of where Maeve is. But I think if Maeve was out on a mission by herself, she would do everything she could to save people, in the same way she tried on the plane. She would, if she was the one that could fly and was very, very strong, she would have been the one flying out the plane trying to divert, you know, she would have tried. So it's not as simple for Billy, but at the same time, given what he went through, I can totally see why. He had the superhero, like the Captain America of this world, the greatest superhero, the hero of all the heroes, raped and, as far as he's concerned, murdered his wife. Yeah, I get why he has taken that point blank, everyone is evil. It's very much when you've been hurt it's easy to look at the whole world and say, yes, they're all the same. But what I think would be good in terms of healing in this show for Billy's character would be him realising that not all superheroes, and like, I know that I said like, and I'm not, obviously, if anyone's in this world tried to start hashtag not all superheroes, I would tell them to fuck off, we know that. But Billy's stance is that it is all superheroes, and it isn't. Starlight is a good person. Maybe if they'd met her 10 years down the line, Vought would have destroyed the person she is and sucked her soul out of her and crushed her the way it seems to have crushed Maeve. Then maybe, but even Maeve I don't think would deserve their kind of retribution. If anything, there are some superheroes that need their help to show them that they can do better and do different. So yeah, it's not as simple as it was for Billy, but that scene where he did open up and he did tell Huey was so important. And I can totally see why he is so against Huey falling for Starlight, because not only could it compromise the mission, like what if they have a plan and the plan turns into blowing up Vought Tower and Starlight's inside. I mean, I don't know if actually blowing up would kill them, but you know, like Huey could, it's a weak link if someone cares for someone that is a member of the enemy forces. But Starlight isn't like the others, and I think if you have a team, you need to trust that he's not just being bamboozled by a pretty face, that she's wonderful. And if you turn on the news, she is being strong and speaking out and not acting the way, you know, it was very clear that she was supposed to go to that thing and say, God is wonderful, praise Jesus, and they were all going to repeat that, and then she was supposed to leave. But what she said was, I don't know if I agree that God did with the way you're worshipping God here, which is obviously different. So I think Billy needs to kind of come to his senses a little bit too. Huey definitely needs, it kind of was for him a reminder, seeing all these people, and you know, he was that guy that idolised superheroes and then lost someone to a superhero being a careless drug addict. So for him it was very much a wake-up call for what he lost. I think it was a key moment when he saw Robin, but then he kissed her anyway. I truly do believe they are falling for each other. I think it's obviously at the very early stages, but they've just got one of those connections that's really rare. And then if Robin was alive, maybe it would have always been a, if I hadn't been seen in love with someone else, maybe, but we are just true friends. I think they just had a connection of souls. And maybe even more so because of the loss he's just had. But I think it was really important that he kissed her and then he couldn't see Robin anymore. I think in that moment, he, over the last couple of episodes and last couple of weeks within the show timeline, he has really seen who she truly is, and that she is a truly good person, and that she is different. She's definitely different to the other superheroes. And also with that, he is realising that maybe he really wants to bring her in. He wants for her to be part of it all so that he can be open and honest with her. And I want that too, but it's not as simple as he might dream it would be. So I think those were some really important scenes, and maybe she's going to have a glimmer of an idea that something weird is up with the weird friend turning up and then vanishing and like asking the kind of weird questions and being a bit weird. Like maybe she's going to start suspecting him at some point, but I don't know, I worry about it. I definitely hope that there's a path in the future for them to end up together, but I also look at this show and I think they're probably all going to be dead by the end of season 2 or season 3. This show is not one that's going to give you my happy ending, so I'm not going to get too set on anyone. I say now in season 1 episode 6, God knows where I'll be even in a season's time. But I don't have any of my heart set on any of these relationships, but I think they do have a true connection that just is amazing. And I think they've really formed a true bond, and that's going to be what is so hard for Starlight to accept the betrayal of when she finds out the truth about Huey. I pray he tells her. I pray that it's a moment where he's able to sit her down and tell her the truth. But this is a TV show, so either Butcher's going to randomly tell her, or Butcher's going to release a video where they have footage of him killing Translucent, and that's how she's like, you know, I don't necessarily think Huey's going to be able to tell her, but I would like that. Then, unless I'm forgetting anything, I briefly will make mention of the fact that, so I wasn't entirely sure what was whether, like, it seems like they're going, the idea is that Vought created the Compound V, and they created all superheroes. None of them are real. But I think only some at the very highest level know about that. Homelander obviously does, but then he was also raised in the lab. And, you know, people like the Deep and like the Seven basically know about it. But I think Starlight is far too new to the Seven. She is far too fresh, and they aren't entirely sure where she stands, and they need to know that A, they had enough on her. They had enough hooks in her to keep her. But most of them don't know. And you kind of, there would have been, I imagine, things of superhero-esque pre-1971 when the first one appeared, or when they first injected the babies. So kind of, we've always had this idea that maybe we could evolve like that. So I just think that is so fascinating, that the superheroes are entirely a corporate thing, and it would explain why it's very America-centric. And then the concept that when we get to Kimiko, that they are making supervillains, just why did I not think of that before? That makes so much sense. Like, they've created the superheroes, and just having your superheroes fighting off human threats, you know, they could argue, oh yeah, well the military does that, the military can do that, but if you suddenly get in a super threat, that is when the superheroes become essential. And so creating supervillains is mind-numbingly obvious. Obviously they weren't ready to release Kimiko on the world, but just, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Her relationship with Frenchie is so amazing. Like, when we first met Frenchie, he was like a wild card, he was crazy, and like him casually saying like, oh, there was a woman with red shoes, she was the first one I killed. You know, I was very much like, this guy's a bit, I don't know, but these episodes we've really seen that underneath all the trauma he's been through and all of the warping decisions, he has got a good heart that he's stuck to, and they have just formed such a connection, and he's just believed in her from the moment he first saw her hiding under that table in that room with the bars. And I love how gentle he is with her and how she's been able to connect to that, and that he's able to calm her down, and we're really starting to get her, like she's starting to come back. And what we learn about her was just truly heartbreaking. Like, when we first learned that she was in a terrorist group, I was like, well, it's not as simple as that. I was starting to think like either she was brainwashed into the group, and now it's been like, now that the effects of the drug have made that go away or whatever, but finding out that she, you know, she did grow up by the sea, which is why she liked Shark Week, and that her family were killed and she was forced to become a child soldier, and just because she's now grown up, the trauma of that is still in her, and she's obviously not a zealot who's loyal, luckily. In a way, she hasn't been brainwashed into believing in it. Maybe her brother has, and that's going to be a traumatic thing we get in the future. But she very much was a prisoner, but she had no choice, because also I think, as a child, you're terrified, you're going to do what they say, but if they have your brother, like the one person left in the world that you care about, if you defy them, they could kill him. So I do think that she is a victim of those people, but I think it's really important that she is we can see that she is a caring person who wants to get home because she wants to help and save her brother. And even now that she has his crazy super strength, she wants to do that. And her going after the people that did that to her make even more sense, because they're part of this group that murdered her family and forced her into becoming a soldier and gave her this drug. Like, I have so much love for her character already, and I cannot wait to see where she goes. And just the way that at the end, when Frenchie gave her that choice, because that choice is so important. I mean, I don't know how practical it was. I feel like they'd have to smuggle her back just because she does not have a passport. But just the way that he gave her the choice of, you don't have to help us. I'm not going to be like, well, we saved you, so now you have to help us. He put the ball in her court. He let her make the choice. And when she just took his hand, it was just, oh my God, it was everything. I love their connection. And I'm really enjoying that, you know, this episode, she was a lot less feral. Sure, when she was forced to suddenly, unexpectedly go through these traumatic memories, she snapped. But, like, she's calming. She's becoming herself again. And I really can't wait to get to watch as her character, I imagine, is going to continue to grow. Eventually, I'm sure she'll start speaking, because obviously she can speak. And the trauma, she's healing with the help of Frenchie, and she has a cause to fight for that's right here. And that maybe if she can kind of stop these supervillains or whatever, then she can ultimately help her brother down the line, I hope. But I really enjoyed that connection and that development. I feel like I'm talking a really long time. I always do. If anyone has listened this far, thank you. Well done. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me, what your thoughts are down in the comments. No spoilers though for where the show goes. And yes, if you would like to watch the unedited version of this reaction, just a quick reminder, it's up on my Patreon, along with the rest of Season 1. All of Season 1 is now up on my Patreon, and next week Season 2 will start on my Patreon. And you can get the unedited version of this reaction up on my Patreon as well 1 week early. So episode 7, the penultimate episode of Season 1, is already up there. But yeah, this show, I really love it, and every time I think that Vought can't get more despicable, it does. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes next. Thank you so much for watching.